The holographic projection filled the United Earth Command Center with crackling blue light. Emperor Zathron of the Valdrine Empire stared down at the assembled human leaders with 4 unblinking eyes, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the emergency lights of the war room. "You have 1 solar rotation." The Emperor's translator rendered his clicking speech into cold, precise English. "Surrender your weapons, your fleet, and your autonomy. Become a tributary state of the Valdrine Empire. Refuse, and we will reduce your world to ash and memory." General Sarah Chen stood motionless before the projection, her gray uniform crisp despite the 48 hours she had spent coordinating Earth's desperate defensive preparations. Around her, diplomats and military commanders shifted nervously. Through the reinforced windows of the Colorado complex, she could see the night sky dotted with new stars. The Valdrine fleet, 800 vessels strong, arranged in a perfect siege formation around Earth. "That's quite an offer," Chen said, her voice level, "but I have a counterproposal." Zathron's mandibles clicked in what the humans had learned was amusement. "You believe you are in a position to negotiate? We have studied your species for 3 cycles. You possess 142 military vessels.
We have 800. Your energy weapons operate at efficiency levels 40% below ours.
Your population is confined to a single system while we control 400 worlds across 12 sectors." He leaned closer to whatever camera fed his image across the void. "You are clever primitives playing with toys you barely understand. What could you possibly offer that would interest the Valdrine Empire?" Chen's expression didn't change. 2 seconds, silence fell across the command center. Zathron's translator paused, likely recalibrating. "Clarify," the Emperor demanded. "Give me 2 seconds," Chen repeated, "and I'll end your empire." The hologram flickered as Zathron's laughter translated into a sound like grinding metal. "You entertain me, human, very well. When your planet burns, I will remember that you at least possessed courage, if not wisdom. 1 rotation, then fire and extinction." The projection vanished. "General, what the hell was that?" President Martinez approached, his face pale. 2 seconds? We don't have a superweapon. Our entire plan is to fight long enough for the civilian transports to reach the outer colonies. We're buying time, not making threats we can't back up. Chen turned to face the room full of anxious leaders. "Mr. President, everyone, I need you to trust me. More importantly, I need you to trust Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb." She gestured, and a thin, nervous-looking man in his 30s stepped forward. Webb had the distracted air of someone who spent more time with equations than people. His uniform was rumpled, and there were coffee stains on his sleeve. "Webb here runs the quantum communications array at Luna Base. 3 months ago, his team made a discovery." "Mark, explain it to them." Webb cleared his throat. "Right. So quantum entanglement allows instantaneous communication across any distance. We've been using it for faster-than-light comms for years now. But we discovered something new. When we created a entangled particle pair and separated them by sufficient distance, then introduced a massive gravitational pulse to one particle." He paused, pushing his glasses up. "The other particle didn't just receive information, it resonated, created an echo effect in local space-time." In English, "Lieutenant Commander," Martinez said. "We can make entangled particles explode," Chen interjected, "violently. And we've spent the last 3 months seeding entangled particle bombs throughout Valdrine space." The room erupted. Voices overlapped in shock and confusion. "How?" someone demanded. "The Valdrine conquered us slowly," Chen explained. "They spent 2 years studying us, infiltrating our communications, analyzing our capabilities. They were so certain of their superiority that they broadcasted their movements, their logistics routes, their supply lines. They wanted us to see how hopeless resistance was." She smiled grimly. "What they didn't know was that we've had stealth probe technology for 15 years. Technology they couldn't detect because they were too busy measuring us against their own assumptions. We sent microsats," Webb added. "Thousands of them, each one carrying entangled particle pairs. They attached themselves to Valdrine ships, stations, shipyards, command centers. The Valdrine security scans looked for threats matching their technological understanding. Our probes were too simple, too small, too unlike weapons to register." "My God," Martinez whispered. "You've mined their entire empire." "Not mined," Chen corrected. "Targeted. We know the location of every critical Valdrine installation, their throne world, their military academies, their cloning facilities, their food production centers, their fuel depots." She pulled up a holographic display showing the Valdrine Empire's 12 sectors. each dotted with thousands of red points. We even found their emperor's palace. His personal chambers, in fact. Our probe is currently attached to the underside of his sleeping platform. Jesus Christ, Sarah, Admiral Morrison said. You're talking about genocide. Billions of Valdrine across 400 worlds. I'm talking about mutually assured destruction, Chen replied. When Zathron makes his next call, I'm going to activate the quantum resonance for exactly 2 seconds. Just long enough to detonate the probe in his bedroom. Just him, a demonstration. And then I'm going to offer him the same choice he gave us. She turned to face the hologram projector, as if the Emperor could already see her. Surrender or burn. The command center remained silent as the implications settled over everyone present. Humanity had spent 2 years preparing not for a desperate last stand, but for a checkmate outside the windows. The Valdrine fleet continued its patient orbit, unaware that the primitive species they had come to conquer had already won the war. 23 hours and 47 minutes later, Emperor Zathron's hologram materialized in the command center again, right on schedule. His posture radiated confidence, and Chen could see additional Valdrine commanders arrayed behind him on what appeared to be the bridge of a massive warship. Your time has expired. Humans, Zathron announced, have you prepared the surrender documents, or shall we? Actually, Chen interrupted, I have a presentation for you first. Lieutenant Commander Webb? Webb's fingers danced across his console. A new holographic display appeared beside Zathron's image, a wireframe schematic of what the Valdrine would recognize as the Imperial Palace on their homeworld of Valdros Prime. Zathron's mandibles froze mid-gesture. How did you obtain your bedroom specifically? Chen continued calmly. The display zoomed through crystalline corridors, past ceremonial guards into a massive chamber dominated by a raised platform. That's your sleeping platform, isn't it? The one carved from compressed stellar matter as a symbol of your divine right to rule? The Emperor's 4 eyes widened. Behind him, Valdrine commanders began clicking urgently to each other. Impossible. Our palace security is excellent against threats you can understand, Chen said. Unfortunately for you, you've been sleeping 3 centimeters above a quantum-entangled particle bomb for the last 72 days. The color drained from Zathron's exoskeleton, shifting from deep crimson to pale orange. You're bluffing. Your technology is primitive. You cannot possibly— What Webb? Chen said simply. 2 seconds. Demonstration pulse. Target. The Emperor's favorite meditation fountain. The one in his private garden with the imported crystal lilies from Sector 7. Acknowledged. Webb's finger hovered over the activation switch. Quantum resonance cascade in 3, 2, 1, mark. Webb pressed the button. On Earth, nothing happened. In the hologram showing Zathron, also nothing, for exactly 1.3 seconds. Then the Emperor lurched forward as if struck. Behind him, a Valdrine commander stared at something off-screen, mandibles clicking frantically. Someone shouted in the Valdrine language. Alarms began wailing. My fountain, Zathron whispered. It's gone, the entire garden. There's a crater. He spun to face Chen, all 4 eyes blazing. You attacked the homeworld. You attacked my home. Do you understand what you've done? The Council will demand— The Council is currently evacuating their compounds, Chen interrupted, bringing up another display. Because they've just been informed that each of their estates, summer palaces, and government offices also has entangled particle bombs attached. As do your military shipyards in Sector 4, your cloning facilities on Thrain, your grain production centers on Valdros 2, your antimatter refinery at Kextan Station. She paused. Would you like me to continue? We have 47,000 individual targets identified. The Valdrine command bridge had erupted into chaos. Officers were shouting, displays were flashing, and Zathron stood frozen in the center of it all. This is impossible, he repeated, but his voice had lost its certainty. Your probes. Our sensors would have detected. You scanned for weapons that matched your understanding of weapons, Chen said. You looked for power signatures, for threatening configurations, for systems that made sense to you. Our probes are dumb machines, barely more sophisticated than rocks with quantum-entangled particles inside. They don't do anything. They just sit there waiting for activation. Why would your sensors flag inert debris? Webb pulled up a technical schematic. Each probe is 70% standard stellar dust by mass. The quantum particles are shielded in crystalline matrices that read as natural mineral formations. We designed them to be invisible specifically because we studied how you think. 2 years, Chen added. We had 2 years while you performed your cultural analysis, your threat assessment, your careful documentation of how primitive and helpless we were. 2 years while you broadcast your logistics data, your fleet movements, your infrastructure locations because you wanted us to understand how futile resistance would be. She leaned toward the hologram. We're quick learners, Your Majesty. Zathron was breathing rapidly now, his exoskeleton plates clicking against each other. What do you want? Resources? Territory? We can negotiate. I want exactly what you offered us, Chen said coldly. Surrender your weapons, surrender your fleet, surrender your autonomy. That's impossible. The Valdrine Empire spans 12 sectors. Then I suggest you start organizing the paperwork. Chen glanced at Webb. Lieutenant Commander, please display the full target map. The hologram expanded to show the entire Valdrine Empire, a vast network of systems, stations, and installations, each marked with a pulsing red indicator. There were thousands upon thousands of them. Every red dot is a quantum bomb, Chen explained. Simultaneous activation would decapitate your entire civilization in less than 5 seconds. Your leadership, your infrastructure, your food production, your military capacity, all gone in the time it takes you to blink. You wouldn't dare. The Galactic community watched you conquer 400 worlds, Chen cut him off. They watched you threaten Earth with extinction. Now, they'll watch you make a choice. She folded her hands behind her back, military posture perfect, unconditional surrender, or I activate every bomb simultaneously. You have 1 solar rotation to decide. That's the same ultimatum I gave you. Yes, Chen agreed, except I actually have the weapon to back it up. She nodded to Webb, who terminated the connection. The hologram vanished, leaving the command center in stunned silence. President Martinez finally spoke. Sarah, you just threatened to destroy an entire civilization. No, sir, Chen replied quietly. I threatened to destroy their infrastructure and leadership. 97% of the Valdrine population would survive, unlike the 0% of humanity that would have survived their attack. She turned to face him. I gave him the same choice he gave us. The difference is, our threat is real. Outside, the Valdrine fleet continued its orbit. But now, Chen imagined, they were doing it very, very nervously. The next 24 hours were the longest of Chen's life. The command center operated in shifts, but she never left, subsisting on coffee and the grim determination that had carried her through 3 decades of military service. Intelligence reports flooded in. The Valdrine fleet had changed formation, pulling into a defensive sphere. Quantum communications across their empire had increased by 3,000%. Several Valdrine council members had attempted to contact Earth directly, only to be told that General Chen would speak only with the Emperor. They're panicking, Admiral Morrison observed, studying the tactical displays. Half their fleet commanders are calling for an immediate strike on Earth. The other half are advocating for withdrawal. Zathron's in an impossible position, Chen replied. If he surrenders, he looks weak. If he attacks, we destroy his civilization. If he retreats without a fight, he looks even weaker. So what does he do? He looks for a third option, something that saves face while keeping his empire intact. Right on schedule at the 23-hour mark, Zathron's hologram appeared. But this time the Emperor was alone. No commanders, no throne room backdrop, just him in what appeared to be a private chamber. General Chen, he began, his voice weary. I have consulted with the Council of Dominion. We have analyzed your claims, verified several of your probe placements, confirmed that your quantum technology is, as you claimed, functional. I'm glad we understand each other, Chen said. Understand? I understand that you've held a knife to the throat of my entire civilization. His mandibles clicked in agitation. But I also understand something else. You didn't activate all the bombs at once. You could have. When I rejected, Your first ultimatum when I laughed at your 2 seconds claim you could have destroyed everything. Instead, you demonstrated your capability with a fountain. Chen said nothing, waiting. That suggests you don't actually want genocide. You want what? Deterrence? Protection? A seat at the galactic table? I want my species to survive, Chen replied simply. You came to Earth with overwhelming force and demanded our surrender. You gave us no diplomatic option, no negotiation, just submit or die. So we prepared the only leverage we could, mutually assured destruction. And now you demand our surrender in return. No, Chen said, and saw surprise register in Zathron's 4 eyes. I'm offering you a different choice. She nodded to Webb, who brought up a new document, complex, detailed, clearly prepared by an army of lawyers and diplomats. This is the Treaty of Sol, Chen explained. It establishes Earth as a sovereign power. It recognizes our territorial claims to our solar system and any colonies we establish. It guarantees that no Valdrine vessel will approach our space without invitation. It establishes communication protocols, trade agreements, and mutual non-aggression. Zathron studied the document. This is reasonable, too reasonable. What's the price? The probes stay where they are, Chen said bluntly. Every single one. They remain in place as insurance against future aggression, not just from you, but from any empire that decides humanity would make an easy target. They become our guarantee of sovereignty. You want a permanent blade at our throat? I want a permanent deterrent against conquest. The Valdrine Empire will continue to exist, to prosper, to expand, but never toward Earth. Never toward any species that doesn't choose willingly to join you. Chen's expression hardened. You've conquered 400 worlds, Emperor. How many of them actually wanted to be part of your empire? The silence stretched. Finally, Zathron clicked his mandibles in what might have been acknowledgement. And if we refuse, if we call your bluff, then I activate everything, Chen said quietly. And humanity's first major act on the galactic stage will be genocide. We'll be pariahs, monsters, cautionary tales told to frighten children. But we'll be alive, and everyone else in the galaxy will think very carefully before threatening us. You would do it. You would actually do it. To save my species? To prevent the extinction of 8 billion human beings? Chen met his eyes steadily. Yes, I would. And I would carry that burden for the rest of my life. But I would do it. Zathron was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, less imperial, more tired. We have a saying on Valdros Prime, he said. The greatest victories are the battles never fought. I thought it meant that superior forces prevented conflict through obvious strength. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps it means that wisdom is knowing when force has reached its limits. He straightened, his exoskeleton plates shifting back into formal arrangement. I will sign your treaty, General Chen. The Valdrine Empire will recognize Earth's sovereignty. Your probes will remain in place as you specified. And in exchange, you will promise that they will be used only in response to direct aggression against humanity. Agreed, Chen said. But understand this, Zathron continued. The galaxy is wider than you imagine. There are powers beyond the Valdrine Empire. Older, stranger, more dangerous. Your quantum bombs won't protect you from everything out here in the dark between stars. Then I suppose we'll have to be creative, Chen replied. Humans have a talent for that. For the first time, something like respect flickered across Zathron's features. Indeed you do. Very well, General. Let us sign this treaty and ensure that our 2 species need never discover exactly how destructive we can be to each other. The ceremony took another 4 hours. Legal reviews, official translations, formal recognition protocols. But when it was done, the Valdrine fleet began its withdrawal from Earth's space. Chen stood at the command center windows, watching the alien vessels depart in precise formation, leaving Earth's sky to its own stars once again. Did we do the right thing? President Martinez asked, joining her. We survived, Chen replied. We proved that humanity belongs among the stars, not as subjects but as equals, whether that's right or wrong. She paused. History will decide. But we're alive to be part of that history. 2 seconds turned out to be enough. Outside, the last Valdrine ship vanished into faster-than-light transit. Earth had been threatened with extinction and had responded with the most human solution imaginable, impossible audacity backed by even more impossible ingenuity. The age of human space had begun not with a whimper but with a quantum bang.